Can we talk about F words? Finding the friend and fun in failure to achieve your goals. I like to have fun with my titles. I like to have fun with my work. So, you know, this is me. This is my attempt to be clever with the F. All right, so let's see what we have here. Let's see what we have going on. So when we think about, so before we even talk about failure, I want you all to think about the last time you tried to achieve maybe a seemingly hard to accomplish goal. Think about what that might have felt like. Think about what thoughts might have been going through your head, and think about, consider, did you accomplish the goal? And if not, why not? And if you did, why? What fueled you? What helped you get there? And as you think about that, I want you to take a look at this very short video with this little baby, and then we'll go from there. Very short video. And can everyone see the video okay? Like, you can just do a thumbs up. Yep, okay. Just watch the video. No real sound. All right. So when you think about failure, let me go to this next slide. What comes to mind, especially having watched the little baby try to learn to master the art of walking, something that I'm assuming most of us have done well and we don't even think about it anymore. But there was once upon a time, for those of us who can walk, there was once upon a time where we were that very same toddler. What comes to mind? Fill the chat room up with what comes to mind when you think about failure with regards to that little baby, that little video you saw. What are some things that come to mind when you think about failure? So if you could just type it in. What comes to mind when you think of bad grades? Yes. What else comes to mind? Not achieving your goal? Keep them coming. Not trying to recover and try, frustration, break diet, not good enough. Now they're coming. Not achieving, perseverance. Not achieving the first time, persistence. Very good. What do we know? Triggers. Yes, triggers. And when we think about the baby supposedly, I guess you could say, failed a couple of times as she fell to the ground. But what did you notice every time that happened? What happened? What did she do? What did she do? Her goal was she got back up. She got back up. And did she cry? No. In fact, she even looked over to what I assume was her North Star, that parent or guardian. She smiled, did it with a smile. Yes. She became more determined. Absolutely. She even had the distraction of her toys and still she went right past those toys, went right past those little shiny gold objects, as we call them. And she kept going, trying to achieve her goal. Was it cute and pretty? No, her walk was not sassy, but she kept going anyway. And so I think it's just really nice to start off with the beginnings of where we first, baby had a caring support, a supportive, a caring adult. Absolutely, we need a team. We don't really get to where we are by ourselves. We may think we do, but there's always someone who is instrumental in helping us get to where we need to be. Yes, very good. Thank you, I appreciate that. So it's just, I want you to keep that baby, that image of baby in mind when you think about accomplishing your goals. And if you feel like failure, that those messages of failure starts to creep in, keep that baby in mind. All right, so I'm going to go back a little bit now. So when we think about, so today's session, you should be able to answer the following question by the time it's all said and done. You should be able to answer, how can you use failure to work in your favor? How can you use failure to work in your favor? Because the more you can do that, one, the less stress you'll be about moving forward with whatever goal you're trying to accomplish. But two, I mean, shoot, why not? When you can figure out a way to make it work in your favor, the more likely it is you'll be successful. And so just keep in mind, successful people fail their way to the top. Everyone that we know, whether they talk about their failures or not, everyone that we know that's successful, they've experienced some form of failure. The formula for success is simple. As Thomas J. Watson says, founder of IBM, double your rate of failure, which simply means fail as often, fail as quickly as possible so you can learn what you need to learn to get to where you need to be. All right, so we already started talking about what does it mean? What is failure? What does it feel like? What does it feel like to be stuck? What does it look like? What does it sound like? What I want to highlight for you all is this. When you think about failure, is it heavy because you've taken on this narrative about the failure that doesn't make you feel so good? Maybe is it because you've taken on a narrative about whatever it is you failed at, where you've embraced it as your identity instead of simply seeing the failure as an action and an action to learn from? See, right there, it's that right there. When you start looking at failing at something as something that defines who you are, that's where we lose momentum. And so I'm here today. If I don't do anything else, and you don't hear anything else from me today, please understand, monitor, be mindful of the narrative you create around the failure. A lot of times we don't get to where we need to be because we remain stuck because we're afraid of failure, because we've already projected this narrative of what it might mean if we do fail. We've already created this narrative of what it might mean about us if we do fail. And as a result, we start doing silly stuff, or we don't do what we're supposed to do because we're stuck on the idea that we might fail. And we've attached it to who we are. Folks, let that go. Doesn't work, doesn't serve you well. So if you don't hear anything else, keep that in mind. Okay, so now we're going to go into our first little think, pair, share here. We're going to spend 7 minutes in this little diet. You're going to work in pairs. So if you are not on your camera, I mean, that's fine. I just ask that you at least unmute and introduce yourself. And then you're going to talk about this with your partner. You're going to have 3 minutes each to talk about 3 things. What are you grateful for? What's a time that what is your thoughts on failure? Share maybe a quick time where you failed. And then what was the lesson? So what are you grateful for? It doesn't have to necessarily be related to the failure or the lesson, but I like to start things off with in the right headspace. What was a failure you experienced briefly? And then what was your lesson? You guys have 3 minutes apiece. Okay, you'll be in your chat room for a total of 7 minutes. So Olivia, I believe that would be you. Can you just kind of put people into random pairs, and we'll bring you guys back in 7 minutes. Is that cool, Olivia?
Yep, I will go ahead and put, I think I can. I'm not sure if I or Smitha has to do so.
Smitha, is she still on?
Yep, I'm still here, Paya. Should I go ahead and put people into breakout rooms? And can you remind me again of the number?
Oh, minute time, 7 minutes.
Okay.
And just 2 to a room.
Okay.
Thank you. So you just be in random groups.
All right. Let me know if this works, everybody. If you run into any issues, let me know.
All right, Susie, I see Susie's comment.
All right, did it work?
I think people are moving.
Okay.
I see boxes moving. Okay, here we go. So we have Aaron and Reed did not join. It looks like, I'm not sure where Aaron is, but what I might suggest
Mm-hmm.
is moving Tiffany Baker, because two of her people are not,
Oh,
they might be kind of,
okay.
oh no, Reed's there.
Yep, I
Reed's
think, yep.
there. Reed's
think we're
there. And then let's see. So it looks like Sister Maria and Brittany do not have partners who are active. I'm not sure where Bower Sox is.
So,
Maybe if we can move Maria
Yep.
to Brittany,
okay.
and then that would just leave.
Okay, I just moved Brittany.
Okay, there it is.
All right, do we get everybody?
It looks like everybody should have a should have a little.
Everyone should have a
homepage.
family?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're good because. the
Okay.
other one-
And then it says Erin had a question. She said she didn't get a breakout. Let me-
Oh,
Move Erin to,
okay, move Aaron.
I'm gonna put her in a random room.
Yeah.
Oh, that works.
Did she get there? Aaron, did you get there?
Okay,
There she is. She's
I think
there.
in the clear.
Hooray, hooray. Okay, so
Hooray.
we'll give them, I have 4:15, so we'll give them, can't do the math, everybody. What is it, 22 after?
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and pause our recording for now, really. quick.
Okay, cool. We can hear you, but I can see where you might feel like it's slow. Your video might be a little slow,
Okay.
but
Yeah,
that'll be fine. Yeah. Okay. Did everybody return? Did I see that? Of course, you know my screen. Okay, everybody's back. Hooray, everyone's back. Welcome back. Right, everybody's back? Tamika?
10 seconds, everyone, the room's closed.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna go to my next slide. Oh, okay, now it looks like everybody's back. All right. Wonderful. Okay, folks. Hopefully you got a chance to kind of process a little bit. That exercise was a little quick opportunity, one, for you to remember what really matters in all of this is that whatever that was that you shared that you were grateful for, that's really all that matters, even if it didn't relate to the failure example that you shared with your partner. But it also was designed for you to see you're not the only person. I started off saying everybody fails. And sometimes we tend to think it's just us. And again, we assign all this value, we put all this weight into this failure and what it means for us, realizing it's just a part of life. It's a prerequisite to success. Failure is a prerequisite. Let me try to say prerequisite to success, okay? All right, so when it comes to making it work in your favor, failure that is, it's important to mind your mind. That's what this is all about. I am not here today to give you the practical, here you need to set a small goal before a big goal. That's not the purpose of today's session. Today's session is about helping you get up in here where it matters so that you can do the practical stuff like setting a SMART goal and putting a time frame around it and all of that. So minding the mind is simply about exploring our mental models. Our mental models are the frames of references that help shape our worldview. These are the things that our experiences, the messaging that we've received from our family, our friends, from school, all of these things have shaped these mental models, these lenses for how we view everything that we do and the people that we come into contact with. So I just want you to think about that for a second. Where do we get our messages about failure? Someone said earlier, they talked about school. And ironically, we work for education in some capacity, you know, but it is really the very place where failure, that message of failure, being afraid, you know, being fearful of failure, it's the place where it was driven to our core that failure is no good. Now, I mean, we did the best we could. I'm saying we being teachers, what have you, but it would be nice if we could learn to reframe or help students reframe what failure means so that it works in our favor. Now I'm going down another rabbit hole, I understand, because we're talking about politics and all of that, but just understand where these messages come from and that people and why they were there. So they come from school, teachers, parents, the media, friends, religious organizations, what have you. That's where we get our messages from. So let's go ahead and see what we can do about that. Whoops. All right. So when you think about failure, you have two choices. You can approach it from a fixed mindset, or you can approach it from a growth mindset. Fixed mindset, growth mindset has been really put on the scene by Carol Dweck. If you want to read some of her work, the information for some of her books are at the bottom. The biggest one is Mindset. A lot of people really get into the Mindset book. It's really easy to access. You can learn a lot, very eye-opening. But when it comes to failure and being able to use it to work in your favor, you have to have the growth mindset. It's about having the belief that you can learn new things, believing and knowing that you can learn new things. You can actually accomplish this. It may not be pretty and cute at first, like the baby toddling around at first, but you can. So that's the growth mindset. Or you can choose the fixed mindset, which simply means I don't have what it takes and I never will. And there's nothing that I can really do about it. I suggest you pick the one that feels best, that's the most soothing for you, and you go from there. And hopefully it's not the fixed mindset, but it might be. Got to have a growth mindset to be able to see the friend in failure. So now I want you all to just kind of journey along with me in this virtual museum of failures that we've created for you. I'm not going to go through all the examples, but I just need you to know this. All of these people or companies that you see, they have failed their way to the top. They have failed their way to the top. And even when they were at the top, they still continue to fail. Okay? So failure is a prerequisite for success. You can look up Oprah. I'm sure you probably have all heard Oprah's story, but you probably may or may not know Walt Disney has a resume of failures. In fact, check this out. You're talking about making failure your friend. Mickey Mouse, the beloved character Mickey Mouse, was a result of Walt Disney's failure to secure a tight contract around one of his first characters who he lost, and he had to give up his creative rights to that intellectual property. But as a result of that, with the determination and the belief in himself, he was able to come up with the Mickey Mouse character, which is still making money to this day. He failed, he pushed through failure. He made it work in his favor. He learned what he needed to learn, and then he knew next time, let me make sure I check that paperwork accordingly. All right. KFC, folks, I don't know how many of you know this. Did you know they had like a Kentucky Fried Beef? Yeah, I know, KFC. They actually had tried a Kentucky Fried Beef restaurant. Needless to say, if you haven't heard of it, it's because it did not go over well. It was unsuccessful. Speaking of the word unsuccessful, how about that? Which sounds soothing to you? Failure or unsuccessful? Failure or unsuccessful? Which one soothes you? The reason why I asked the question is because I want you to think about, when we're talking about our mind, we need to use language that soothes our brain, because when our brain is soothed, it allows our amygdala, which is responsible for emotion, to kind of settle down. And when the amygdala is settled down, it releases its grip on the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for executive functions like goal setting, like making critical decisions. And so if we can keep ourselves in a space where we're soothed, we're able to think clearer. We're able to do what we need to do to achieve that goal. And I guess in essence, we're more likely to mitigate the possibility of failure. All right. So soothing, unsuccessful or failure, which one is it? I see some chat comments coming up. Yep, unsuccessful, unsuccessful. Both mean the same thing, but I'd rather say that I was unsuccessful than failure just because it has such a negative connotation on it. Especially if I'm in a head, all in my head about, oh, what is this? I was unsuccessful. Okay. Oh, she did tell you that I get a little wild, so you have to just kind of deal with it. But check out these as we continue in our museum of failure. Look at that. How many of you have tried the doggone Oreo Swedish fish? They were like out, I think, 2 years ago. And Oreos is notorious for trying things that might fail. You know, just like the potato chip people. How many of you have heard of the watermelon Oreos? Now, I have not seen those in the store around here, but I've seen those doggone Swedish fish Oreos. My husband thought they were incredibly gross, and he loves Swedish fish. In fact, he's having an affair with them. That's his secret lover that I actually know about. Yeah. So those watermelon Oreos, failure. And check out the Lifesavers drink. I don't know how many of you have heard of that. Or no, but check out this one. Colgate, the toothbrush company, came out with beef lasagna. Yeah. And so when you think about, when you think about failure, you're like, well, I'm glad that they tried, but maybe they just didn't understand that their branding, toothbrush, beef lasagna. Yeah. So these are just some examples of companies that have tried things that did not work for whatever reason, but they tried nonetheless, and they're still standing. All right, so again, I ask you, think about this. How can you use failure to work in your favor? And I forgot to tell you this one. Hold on, let me see. Let me check my chat. Yep, does sound better. I meant to share with you, because she told you that I specialize in emotional intelligence. And the 3 competencies that you will take away, if you're dialed in from this session, you will get a greater measure of self-awareness. Susie shared at the beginning that it was revelatory for her to learn the difference between seeing failure as an action versus failure as a way to define herself. So now Susie has experienced a greater measure of self-awareness when it comes to failure. This workshop is designed to help you understand when it comes to self-management. Self-management connects with goal setting. You are going to be using self-management of your mind to connect with, look at this process a little differently. And then reflective decision-making, responsible decision-making. Again, when we're up here and understanding what's going on in our mind and how we're viewing things, when we're putting our mental models in check or using them in a way that works in our favor, we can make responsible decisions. Okay. All right, let's keep going. Now, activity that you will do on your own. Take a piece of paper or whatever you have, and I want you to write a goal right in the center of the paper that you want to accomplish. It doesn't have to be big, nothing grand, but what's something that you may want to accomplish today? Maybe it's something that you want to accomplish this week, or perhaps this month or year. Whatever it is, write that on the piece of paper, right there in the center. After you've written down your goal, I said write 3 examples of failure around the goal, but now all I want you to do is write 1 for the sake of time. And maybe it's a failure that's related to a relationship that might impact your goal. Maybe it's a potential failure around your personal life in general that would impact your goal. or maybe it's something related to your career, a failure related to your career that would impact your goal. So for example, maybe your goal is to build a house at the end of the year, and you are not in harmony with your partner on how you should spend your finances so that you can have the down payment to build your house. That might be a way to look at a potential failure, because the failure is in not having that harmony with your partner, or doing what needs to be done so that you guys can get on the same page. Whatever it is, write down one potential failure that would get in the way of you achieving that goal. Once you've done that, this is the key, folks. Listen, reframe it. Reframe that failure. What's another way that you can look at that so that it turns into something that works out for you? This is also a nice activity to do when you reflect on something in the past that you've tried to achieve. And then you look at why you failed. And then you look at what's another way to look at those different things that contributed to the failure. So this works either way, but I'm trying to make it more proactive, like more so that you can use this in the future. So what's another way to reframe it? Because my thing is, if you can reframe it now, it's almost like you're putting a contingency plan in place, and you'll be able to do the workaround whenever you need to, should the obstacle present itself as you move towards the goal you're trying to achieve. So look at that failure. What's another way that you can look at it so that it works for you? And then finally, which is another most important part of this process, what are the soothing thoughts that you can think about, either directly related to the goal or maybe indirectly related to the goal? Because the more you can think of soothing thoughts, the less resistance around the goal you'll have. With the least amount of resistance, or with reduced resistance, the more likely it is you will be able to achieve the goal. Let me see if I can give you a quick example here. So if my goal is to, let's see, so like right now, okay, my goal was to enjoy myself delivering a message to you guys, right? Soothing thoughts. I'm excited about the idea of being able to share this great information with folks who want to hear it. Man, I'm excited, or I'm just glad to be able to have the energy and the mental capacity to do this work. Man, it delights me knowing that that I was asked to share this. So these are 3 different soothing thoughts. It delights me to know I can actually have fun doing this virtual workshop with you all, even though I would love to be in person where I can really get in there with you guys. But it's soothing to know that I can be excited about it and have fun anyway. Those are all soothing thoughts about the goal. Some more soothing thoughts would be, this makes it more general. Many people are successfully delivering online workshops. Many people have enjoyable experiences with virtual workshops. Now, that's not directly related to my goal, but it's a soothing thought that's generally speaking about my goal. The key thing, folks, is this: the more you can think soothing thoughts about whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, instead of going to the negative bias, the negativity bias, where you're thinking about the worst that can happen instead of about all the good, the more likely it is you will achieve the goal. Because remember, I said we need to keep that amygdala soothed. We need to keep that amygdala soothed. We don't want the amygdala to get hijacked by all of these negative thoughts. Practicing soothing thoughts soothes the amygdala, allows the prefrontal cortex to do what it needs to do, to think the way it needs to think, to give you clarity on what you need clarity for, to achieve your goals. Everybody good? All right. So failure is our friend. When you allow it to inform you, when you allow it to speak and give you information, So here's how you do this. Take a snapshot of this or what have you. When you think about a time when you were unsuccessful, consider what was your why? Do the little reflective exercise. Get yourself some tea, go on the patio, and kind of process through this thing. What was your why? Was your why strong enough to sustain you to do the work necessary to achieve the goal? Whether it be a goal on the job, whether it be a goal, a personal goal, whatever. Ask yourself, did you fully commit to riding the bike? You might be like, what's that mean, Paya? Well, think about when you first tried to ride a bike. When you first tried, you probably fell a couple times, but because you were committed, didn't matter. You were committed, and so you kept trying despite the falls. Okay, some of you may even got training wheels to make sure you learn how to ride a bike. Frank and Marsha, my parents, they didn't let me get training wheels. I had a different set of, they were something else. But I learned. They just wouldn't let me have the pleasure of having training wheels. But did you fully commit? You cannot ride a bike half committed. Even to this day, I dare you to try to half commit to riding a bike. Now, and as an adult falling on a bike, a little bit different than a kid, you cannot half commit. Same thing with the goal. You have to commit to it. You have to commit to it just as fully as you would riding a bike. Another thing I want you to think about when you're reflecting. Did you know? Did you have a knowing that you were going to achieve the goal? Or were you one of those, well, I hope it happens. And I did that on purpose. I did the little sarcastic, I hope it happens. Because listen, knowing you will achieve it, that's like commitment times 10. And it does reduce the resistance. When you're just hoping, you're actually leaving the door open for a little bit of doubt to come on in there and snatch you up, get you off your game. Okay, that's like when people say, well, I tried, well, I'm trying. No, either you are doing it or you're not. Trying, it gives the illusion that you are committed. No, when you are trying, you are simply saying, but if something else catches my attention, I'm going that direction. Trying is an illusion. Okay, don't let it get you caught up. And trying and hope and people will, Paya, hope is not bad. I'm not saying hope is bad. I'm just saying if you really want to achieve your goal and get in that right head space, you need to know it's going to happen for you. Can't be worried about other people. Speaking of worried about other people, when you were unsuccessful, what was the reason for your goal? Were you trying to prove something to someone else? Were you trying to prove something to yourself? Because I'm going to tell you, that's creating resistance. Anytime you are doing something to prove something to somebody else and you're trying to get their validation and affirmation, are you kidding? That's when that narrative, that failure defines you, that's when that thing gets stronger because your goal was for the wrong reason. You should not be in the business of trying to set goals to prove something to someone else. Who cares about them? They should not have that much. You should not be giving your power away in that manner. Do what you need to do for you, not to prove to anyone else, not to even prove to yourself, because you know you have what it takes. You are embracing that growth mindset. No matter how long it takes, you're committed to you. Don't give your power away. And another thing I want you to ask yourself, when you were unsuccessful, what was driving your action? Was it fear or was it love? Gary Zukav talks about when he's this, I don't know if you want to call himself up, I don't know, he's inspirational writer to me. He talks about how we have two sides of ourselves. We have the loving side of our personality, and then we have the fearful side of our personality. And he talks about how oftentimes we entertain the fearful side of our personality when we should, in fact, be allowing the loving side of ourselves to drive our actions. Let me give you a little tangible example. So I had to tell my professor, I will not be able to turn an assignment in this evening because I'm just swamped. That was me honoring the loving side of myself. The loving side of myself means I'm not going to kill myself trying to get an assignment when I'm about to get on the road and drive long distance. I have somewhere, I'm literally about to get on the road when I get done with you guys. I need to drive, be focused on that road and be safety. That's loving myself. If I was catering to the fearful side of myself, this is what I would be doing. I wouldn't have reached out to my professors. I would have gone on the road, drove long distance. I would have drank pop, which for me, with the medical condition that I have, is detrimental to my health. I would have gotten sick trying to freaking do an assignment out of fear of what would people think? What will they think if I don't turn this assignment in? Because I create this narrative that if I don't turn it in, it means something about me. That's me catering to a fearful side of myself. Well, so what I did was I decided to honor the loving side of me and say, you know what, this is where I'm at. This is the best that I can do. And the best that I can do means I cannot turn that assignment in today. So hopefully you guys got that. Ask yourself though, when you're doing something, whether it be at work, in your relationships, what's driving the action? Is it loving? Is it love or is it fear? Are you loving yourself in the midst of that? Or are you being fearful? I have to make sure I'm smiling. Another thing you want to think about when it comes to achieving your goals, be clear on your why. Be clear on why you're doing it. Write out your goal. Write out what it is you want. Like, why do you even want to achieve the goal? And then to even further make sure you're on the right track, make sure you write what you don't want. A lot of times when we're clear, let me say it like this. When we're clear on what we don't want, makes it a lot easier to move towards what we do want. So be clear on what you don't want, and then write out what you do want. Okay. So Cheryl, let me see your comment. You said you remember on Steve Harvey's show, he had an older woman on his 19. Yes, 90 years old, to say you will open for windows. Wait, it says to say you will try opens a window for failure. Just do it. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you. Very good. Yes, I didn't see that, but yes. Play along the way. Folks is all uptight these days. Everybody all uptight, let your head speak freely. Life is too short to be all worked up, trying to get somewhere, trying to make something happen. Play. Find something to do that makes your heart leap. Laugh a little bit. Listen, I tell people I stay laughing. I go to bed laughing and I stay laughing. I know there's a couple people here on this call today. You know I'm telling the truth. I stay laughing. It's important to me. Play along the way. Relax. Don't be so worked up about, is this going to happen for me? Am I going to be able to do it? That little baby walking, learning to walk, she was in a playful space. That's because she hadn't been jaded by all the nonsense of the world, I suppose. But at any rate, we can learn a lot from that baby. She played along the way. She didn't take herself so seriously, and she believed she was going to be able to walk. And then the other thing you want to do is visualize your success. I cannot tell you how much this is super important. Take, even if it's 3 minutes, maybe it's when you're in the shower, see yourself doing the things that you need to do. Visualize how you're going to feel when you get there. Visualize yourself even feeling good through the process of doing the work. If you do not have a vision, if you cannot see where you're going, it's going to be harder to get there. Shoot, don't be afraid to dream great things. Don't be afraid to expect great things for yourself. I'm going to say it again. Don't be afraid to expect great things to happen for yourself. All right. And then you also want to keep in mind that, back to this brain, I probably should have, I love the brain. We all do, but I got 2 fake brains in my little drawer back there. I love the brain. So powerful. But you cannot achieve beyond what you're willing to believe. Your brain literally can't do that. So the more you can start visualizing yourself, the more neural pathways you're creating in your brain, so that the work necessary to get there becomes more automatic or easier to access. So there's a method. There's literally a scientific method to the madness of visualizing, creating those neural pathways that makes achieving the goal more possible. All right, and then practice soothing thoughts, just in case you didn't hear me the last time. Practice soothing thoughts around the goal. And then here's my little bonus tip. I don't know how many of you have heard of the Parkinson's principle for time management. Anybody heard of the Parkinson's principle for time management? Here it is. It means work expands to fill the time available. So in essence, you may have something that's due 2 weeks from now that really should only take you 2 hours to do. But because you have this big, long span before you have to get it done, you end up start adding all other kind of stuff to the project. And this probably happens a lot on the job. You know, you start adding all this, that, and the other, instead of dialing in, getting whatever it is you need to get done and moving on. So like with goal setting, if you put this long time frame on a goal that really only needs a week to actually get going, give it the week. Don't give yourself all this unnecessary time, because you're going to piddle around. You're going to keep adding stuff into the plate. And next thing you know, now you've missed the time you said you were going to accomplish it, because work expands to fill the time available. This also works with money, but we're not talking about money today. Look up the Parkinson's principle. You don't have to say time management. Look up the Parkinson's principle. So Cheryl, you raised your hand. Yes, ma'am. Unmute yourself and tell me what you need.
No, I was gonna say, by you saying what you were just talking about, the Parkinson principle, I moved into a place and I have not unpacked. And so I kept saying I'm waiting until spring break so I can get unpacked. But now I'm all over the place. I start in the one room, have do stuff there, then go in another room, instead of focusing on one room at a time or one area at a time. I think I have to do all of it at once, but no, do one area at a time, then move to the next one. So I just wanted to throw that out there because that falls so perfect. That's me.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. So Cheryl, so what will you do this week or this month as a result of what you just shared?
Just like I said, reevaluate what room I need that's most important to do first. And then don't think I have to do it all in one day.
So what's that one
Do
room,
what
Cheryl? I'm putting you on the spot.
Nah.
What's that one room? I'm putting you on the spot. What's that one room?
Look,
I'm gonna hold you accountable.
look, my bedroom.
Okay, there it is.
So I can go to sleep.
I celebrate that because that's good. So if you know Cheryl, any of you guys know Cheryl, check with her in 2 weeks to see did she honor her commitment to herself. Thank you, Cheryl. All right. Let me see. Is there any more? Are there any more? Yes, they're cheering you on, Cheryl. All right. Thank you. So again, I ask you, how can you use failure to work in your favor? What I would like for you guys to do, if you can go ahead and just kind of flood the chat box. Tell me, how can you use it to work in your favor? What's your takeaway? What's your takeaway from this session before we do the evaluations? What's your takeaway? What's the one thing you're going to, Cheryl already shared what she's going to do as a result of today. Susie shared that she's now going to reframe how she views failure. She's not going to allow it to identify her. What's your takeaway? If you guys could kind of give me some things in the chat room. Time management. And then if that's too hard of a question, yes, okay, there it is. Look at what didn't work, how your mindset contributed to the failure, how you can approach it differently, yes. Yep, stop saying failure and use words that soothe me, good. Taking smaller steps to help reach your goal. Use visualization, soothing words more, yes. Oh, we just need to talk so much more loving to ourselves. Stop trying, do. Talk positively to yourself, absolutely. Yes, very good. Time management. Yes. Very good. I may not have reached my goal today, but tomorrow is another day. Absolutely. Be okay with the lesson from failure. Yes. Yes. And I'm serious. I may not see you guys or what have you, but just know I'm out there in the atmosphere holding you accountable. I want you guys to really honor what you're sharing. Honor this thing for yourself. Honor it. Be patient with yourself. Yes. And you may get off course. And when you do, guess what you do? You get back up, remind yourself, okay, let's try this again. Yes. Speak life to yourself. Let go and get out of your own way. Oh my goodness. Yes. Very good. All right. So what we're going to do, it's 5 minutes left. Instead of doing the next Think, Pair, Share, you guys kind of already done that with when I asked you to report out in the chat room. I am going to ask, I know we're doing, so did you guys put the link in the box for everyone? And for me, go ahead.
Yep, I was just gonna do it at the conclusion of the session, so take your time, Paya.
Oh, okay, well, we have 5 minutes. I tell you what, if you can snapshot my feedback fertilizer, and you can fill mine out at another time, but snapshot it, and that would help us too. But I'm gonna stop sharing after like 10 seconds and ask, does anyone have any questions or any comments that you would like to share? We have like 4 minutes left. So I wanna allow time for any questions, comments, or what have you. And if you can, like I said, go ahead.
Hey,
Go ahead.
is it Paya?
Yes,
In the very beginning, when you gave the definition for, one was for the fixed and one was for the growth. For growth, I can learn new things. And I wrote all this down, but I didn't get the tail end of that, like your definition.
Yes. So you said the growth mindset and the fixed
Yeah.
mindset. Which one didn't you get?
The growth.
Oh, so the growth is that I can do it. I will be able to learn what I need to learn to accomplish whatever it is I want to accomplish. I can learn whatever it is I need to learn to accomplish whatever I want to accomplish. I am willing to grow and achieve new things. Does that help, Susie? Does that help, Susie? Did she see me?
Sorry, I'm unmuted myself.
No, that's
Yes,
okay.
thank you so much.
Okay, great. Any other questions? You guys have just, you know what? I'm celebrating all of you.
Thank you so much, Paya. Every time you present, I learn so much from you and things that I know that I'll be able to use going forward. I so appreciate you being here, and I appreciate everyone here who participated too. I know we're at the end, we're past the end of the school year. We're in summer now, but I appreciate you taking the time to be here with us. And I'm going to go ahead. Does anyone have any questions for Paya or for me and Olivia from the wellness team? I did just drop the link in the chat.
Like Mr. M is what I see.
Hi, Mr. M.
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't change my name.
That's
That's
okay.
my Twitter name. The students call me that, and I tried to change it. For some reason, the rename option was there. My apologies.
That's
But I
okay.
agree. I agree with everything that was just said. And my question is, when is your next session, Paya? Did you have one on the books that we can attend yet, or should we just keep our eyes open on email?
I think
That was
you should.
great.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I think you should keep your eyes open. Like Smitha said, I'm a partner with Columbus City Schools. So when
Okay.
they ask me, I just say yes.
Oh, well, thank you.